From sunny Southern California, this is the Executive Housekeeper 101 from HousekeepingRehab.com. Here now is your Executive Housekeeper, Abel Josephson.
All right, here we go again, the Executive Housekeeper 101. This stuff is best suited for somebody who has never managed a housekeeping department. Now, if you're a veteran of housekeeping management, well, you may have some problems with productivity, overstaffing, understaffing, over budget, under budget, not knowing how to measure the numbers or measure the productivity by the numbers in your department. So you'll get some ideas from this. It's something good for everybody. All right, the first thing I want to talk about is how to figure out the productivity of your department. Is your department running on schedule? We have so much time that's allowed. We pay so much money for that time. So we have to work within those parameters. Are we taking too much time? Or are we not taking enough time? It just screams, we're not spending enough time preparing the product for the guest. Never be found under budget, underproductive, underspent. Spend every dime, use it or lose it. So let me give a quick tutorial on how to figure out the productivity factor of your department. I'm going to use 13 rooms a day in 8 hours. That's 35 minutes per room, 35 minutes for vacant and clean, 35 minutes for occupied rooms. I'm not going into it now, but the most important room that you take care of is the occupied room. But you find most executive housekeepers, oh, no, their attitude is we're gonna scrimp and save, just barely get in, just pick up the towels, spray and wipe, and you're out, save time. And all that does is allow somebody to take all the time in the world in a vacant, dirty room that doesn't need more than 35 minutes. If you have a department that's always giving away discounts and money back at the desk, I guarantee you can go to their productivity factor and find out why the rooms are not clean. So anyway, let's move ahead. To figure productivity, it is the amount of hours you have in a day divided by the number of rooms that you have. So let's say it's 13 rooms per day. 8 hours divided by 13 gives you a mathematical answer of 0.615. That's your productivity factor. At any time, you can take an individual, you can take your entire housekeeping department. This is specifically room attendants, those going into the rooms. You can take the whole department. We used 900 hours and we cleaned 1,362 rooms. Take hours, divide it by the rooms that you attended to, and there's your productivity. And if you're doing it right, each individual at the end of each day should have a productivity factor of 0.615, 35 minutes per room, not more. Ooh, never less. Then you can take it by the week, add up all the hours that you spend on labor for the week, get it from your comptroller or from the digital time clock, get those hours for that scheduled workday week, and divide it by the amount of rooms that you have documented you went into and attended to. You'll find out if the individual is productive. You'll find out if the department is productive. If your department is productive or underproductive, then go and find out each individual productivity factor. You'll find out where the leak is. There's a leak somewhere. All right, here we go. Staffing for a scheduled business week at your hotel. Never run over budget, never run under budget, run to the penny. And here's how you do it. You do it by understanding your productivity. When you're paying attention to hours and rooms and the correlation, the relationship between the two, when you're paying attention to that, then you have quality control over your productivity. If you're not doing the math, you're gonna look up and you're gonna be asked, why are you $2,200 over budget this month after projections came out for rooms and you know what your budgeted hours are? Why did you spend $2,300 more on cleaning those rooms than is budgeted? And now most comptrollers never ask why you're under budget, they like it. Other managers don't ask why you're under budget, they like it. Why? Because if you come in under budget, and this is why they always lean on housekeeping, cut costs, cut time, cut corners, cut expenses. You see, we have to meet our numbers in the sales office and in the management office and at the front desk. We have to meet our numbers. We have to meet our financial goals and our occupancy goals. If housekeeping spends too much money, that means it takes away from the financial goals. And we might not get our bonus at the end of the month. We might not get our bonus at the end of the quarter. We might not get our bonus at the end of the year. So they lean on housekeeping, cut corners. What? It just allows extra money in the coffers to make sure they get their bonuses. This is a hotel that doesn't give a flying hoot about the guest experience or their product. If you work in a place like that, maybe put your resume out, maybe get it out there in the market and get out. Work for a place that wants to produce a product. Work for a place that understands how to maximize their money to get the most bang out of their buck to produce a product that creates what? Repeat guests. Repeat guests. You don't have to sell those guests. Housekeeping already sold them, because housekeeping is the last minds, hearts, and hands to touch the product before it is experienced by the guest. Okay, most housekeepers think, well, I just manage the ladies and we go into the rooms and we do our best. It's very difficult. Room's very dirty today. Very dirty. We're doing our best. No. Man, you're a mathematician if you're an executive housekeeper. You know your numbers, you know your projections, you know how many cancellations you generally have on average between the day you get your projection and the day the schedule week starts. You need to know that, oh, by the schedule week, we'll lose 7 of these rooms or 15 of these rooms. For that week, for those 7 days, we'll lose 8, 9, 10, 11 rooms just on cancellations before the schedule ever goes up. Know your numbers. Executive housekeepers, they know their numbers. They know how many rooms put a do not disturb sign out on that door and refuse service. If you don't know this, ooh, your department's gonna leak money, green money, every day. You're gonna be paying for things you don't even know you're not getting. Now, I don't mind paying for something I get. I never want to pay for something I don't get. If you don't know the average number of refused service or do not disturb signs that are put out, that are in your rooms that aren't touched every single day of your hotel's existence, you don't know your numbers. Know your numbers. If somebody else knows your numbers better than you know your numbers, they're going to be telling you what to do and why to do it, and you're not going to know if it's a good decision or not. You're just going to have to follow. The one who's really calling the shots is the one who knows the numbers. If you need to get a piece of equipment, you got to go to your comptroller or your general manager or your director of rooms or whatever, and you got to say, I need a piece of equipment. It's not in the budget. You better show him by the numbers how you're going to pay for it, where the money's going to come from, how to accrue it to the P&L statement. All right, so if you're going to know your numbers, you're going to have to do some research. 2 things you want to research. You want to research how many cancellations per month that your hotel has. You want to do your research and you want to start paying attention and tracking every day. These are my projected numbers. 24 hours later, I had this many cancellations or no cancellations. By day 2, I had this many cancellations or no cancellations. You're going to get your numbers, your projected numbers for the next week from the comptroller so you can schedule your department. So this is the budgeted numbers plus what they project that they will sell or have already sold. These are the projected numbers, projections. You know, by the time this schedule goes up, I'm going to be short, this is going to go down 10 rooms. Instead of 1,000 rooms to clean this week, I've only got 990 rooms to clean this week. Or you know that when the projections go out, the week before the schedule week, between when the projected rooms comes out and between when my schedule, and when the schedule actually goes up, I'm going to gain 24 rooms on average. These are averages. Know how much you rise and fall from the day you get your projections to the day that the schedule will start. A lot can go on. Know what the trends are, because when you know what it is per day, each day I've got so many cancellations that are going to come for the rest of the week that I'm in. I know I'm going to add some rooms between now and the end of the week. You understand what? Your numbers. You need to know how many rooms refuse service. How do you do that? Every day you make a note. How many D&D signs did we have today? We had 9. Next day we had 4. Next day we had 14. Next day we had 7. Next day we had 7 again. You track all these by day. You know which days of the week have more refused service than normal. That's very important, because each day you're going to go to your schedule and you're going to go early in the morning before everybody gets there to open the house. And you're going to look at that scheduled day and know, I've got 154 rooms to clean today. I know for sure 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rooms, they're going to refuse service. You've got to know, you've got to understand, you've got to adjust, reinvent all the time. What? To maintain productivity exactly 35 minutes per room, which was my productivity factor. It may be different for your resort or luxury hotel. Also remember now that housekeepers, they want their 8 hours. If they're going to get dressed and come to your property, And they're gonna be there all day and they're gonna put out that kind of work. They want their 8 hours. They want a stable life. They don't want a life that's, I'm here 6 hours one day, 8 hours the next day, 9 hours the next day, 7 hours the next day, 8 hours the next day, called off that day. I was supposed to work, but they took me off. Nobody likes this kind of insanity. Everybody likes a life rhythm, do what you can. And when you know your numbers, you actually help your scheduling by allowing consistent quality control over the balance of the work needed and the hours used, and you can get everybody on a stable rhythm. Be good with people, care about your people, care about their experience. Don't jerk them all around. You jerk them around, dear God, they're gonna jerk you around. You know, it's these things. You don't want somebody on the clock for 8 hours. They only clean 12 rooms when 13 is the standard, or 12, or 9 when 13 is the standard. You don't want somebody on the clock that cleans 14 or 15 rooms in 8 hours. That'll take you down to 20 minutes per room. You can't provide the service you need, 20 minutes per room. Know your productivity, manage it. Know how many do not disturb signs that you have. Keep your housekeepers on staff the full 8 hours. You're gonna lose control as to who's who and who's where and what's happening and what do we finish and oh, well, hey, we have an extra room we have to clean. What, everybody went home? What? You can't run a department like that. Try to keep your people on for 8 hours, and that's up to the executive housekeeper. All right, let's say your hotel room has 154 rooms. And let's just do this little exercise planning on a sold out hotel for 7 days in a week. That's 1,078 rooms at the end of the week. 154 rooms a day times 7 days. This is what we have to clean. And we're gonna do it with 35 minutes per room, every room, including occupieds. We don't cut corners in occupied rooms. All right, so on a daily basis, you're gonna come in and you're gonna open up the house, right? The first thing you're gonna do is run a vacant, dirty rooms list out of your system. And you're going up on the floors at 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning, and you're going to go to every single room that's listed as vacant and dirty. You're gonna knock 3 times, you're going to announce, and you're going to enter the room, and you're going to look at it and see, is it dirty or is it clean? Because overnight, front desk can do all kind of things. They send somebody to a room. They send them up there, and they go in and they come back and go, oh, this room doesn't have the view we want. Well, they didn't do anything in the room. They just looked around and went, you know what? We can see the brick wall in the building next to us. We want to see the golf course. They come back down. Front desk moves them to another room that they're going to be happy with, and life is good. So in the morning, you're going to run your vacant dirty list, and you may have 1 or 2, 3 rooms, more or less, that's actually clean. People just walked in. Maybe they moved the chair or something. It's clean, it doesn't need service. You want to get that off of your reports, off of your assignment papers before the papers are ever run. And you want to assign those rooms as pickups. Your supervisors will go in, pick up the one towel they moved, move the chair back, just check it out, inspect it, then turn it vacant and clean. If you just print your papers and you just assign vacant, dirty rooms to people because it's on a report, oh my God, your budget and your productivity is gonna be so whacked out because that room that they just bounced somebody off of, it's not in your numbers, but you're gonna make it in your numbers if you assign it to clean and it shows up on your payroll when it wasn't a dirty room to begin with. First thing you do is find out what's clean and what's dirty up on your floors in your hotel or your resort every single morning, and you make sure that those clean rooms do not get assigned. If you assign those rooms, housekeepers are gonna go, oh, you assigned them to me? I went in, oh, I messed with this and that, and okay, I get credit for cleaning that room. I get credit for 35 minutes when I only spent 5 minutes. All right, you add that to, let's say you have an average, I always had an average of about 9, 10, or 11. Let's just, for this exercise, call it 11. So you have 3 rooms that are actually clean and not dirty that you assign. And then you figure that you have 11 rooms per day that refuse service, put a do not disturb sign out. That's 13 rooms per day that don't need attention. Now let's just say, just for the sake of the argument, 13 rooms per day times 365 days a year, this is 4,745 rooms that you pay to clean or people take credit for, but they never cleaned? 13 rooms a day times 365 days a year that you don't pay attention to, that you don't track, that's almost 5,000 rooms a year. You want your bonus? You better find out how to measure productivity. You better keep a lean, mean, clean operating machine up on those floors and make sure no labor is going anywhere it does not need to go. That's your job. It's not the housekeeper's job. Executive Housekeeping 101. Be productive. Don't be unproductive. I don't mind paying for what I get. I don't want to pay for what I don't get. Okay, now where was I? Oh yeah, figuring productivity. Hours divided by rooms gives you your productivity factor, gives you the math on what you're doing. So I have a hotel that has 154 rooms, and we're just doing this exercise on a sold out hotel 7 days a week, 154 rooms per day, 7 days a week. That gives you a total of 1,078 rooms cleaned. Now here we go. You assign 13 rooms per housekeeper per day. You take the total number of rooms to clean for that schedule week, which in this case at 154 rooms a day is 1,078 divided by 13 rooms per day, which is what you're going to assign. So that's 82.9 shifts. 82.9, let's call it 83 shifts times 8 hours a day is 664 labor hours. That's how much you have to work with the projected rooms for this week. So after you schedule, double check. What did I schedule? How much am I above or behind? So what is it, 664 labor hours. So I know that at 13 rooms per day, at 154 rooms, I'm going to need to schedule 13 room attendants per day. Now remember, I'm going to have an average of 11 rooms refuse service. And here's how I work all that into the mathematical mix. I assign all the rooms, but I hold back 11 rooms that I know are vacant and dirty. And where do I get those rooms that I hold back? I get them from my walk down in the morning at 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning before anybody gets here. Remember when I went into all the rooms to make sure they were dirty? That's where I get my rooms. And if I don't get them, then I'll just, if I only have 9 rooms that are vacant and dirty that need to be cleaned, I'll take 2 more rooms out of the checkouts, the departures plan for that day, and I'll stick them in there to where I have about 11 rooms in my pocket, and I do not assign these rooms. What I want the housekeepers to do is to get 13 rooms. So as the housekeepers come down and say, look, I've done my rooms and I have 3 rooms that refuse service, no problem. I assign them 1 room at a time. They got to keep coming back because I'm holding some rooms from other people. I don't give them all to one person. I spread them out. So knowing that they're all going to come up about 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour short, I've got enough rooms to give each one of them an extra room or 2 so that they can finish their 8 hours, have a nice even 8-hour workday, and I get everything covered. It's brilliant. It is better for the housekeepers to come to you to get more rooms each day than it is for you to find out they didn't finish all the rooms that they had. These things. We hold rooms so we can distribute the rooms at the end of the day when people come up short because of do not disturb signs. You're in total control. Nobody's up there taking credit for rooms that you don't know about that are clean. Don't let it happen. And by the way, open up your own house as executive housekeeper. Don't be lazy and let the supervisor come in early and do that and then you show up at 8 or 9. No, open up your house at least 5 days a week. Open up that house. Know exactly what gears are grinding in your house and what the business trends are. You do it. That way you're in total control of it. You can map it out and train your supervisors how to do it your way, not their way. So then at the end of the week, let's wrap this up. You're gonna take all of the hours off the time clock that you use for in-room, guest room attendants, housekeepers, and then you're going to take all of the rooms that they were assigned by taking their maid's papers and adding up all the rooms that were actually assigned and accounted for. And you're gonna do your productivity measurement. You're gonna take hours divided by rooms, and you're gonna find out if you're up or down on productivity. If your housekeeper is doing 13 rooms per day in 8 hours, she's gonna have a productivity factor of 0.615 hours divided by rooms. This is the disease that's in hotel housekeeping departments worldwide. We want to save as much time as possible. No, you don't understand something. They're scrimping time in these occupied rooms. They're only going in there and whipping through there in 15, 20 minutes and not giving it the full 35. That product is going to suffer. You don't want them underproductive, spending less times per room and going home early. You don't want them spending over the 35 minutes and going home late. You don't want them spending 45 minutes in vacant rooms and 22 minutes in occupied rooms. You want 35 minutes per room. And you can measure each housekeeper with this math. You can measure your whole department with this math. Oh, one more thing before I go. 2 housekeepers in a room are not faster than 1 housekeeper. In their mind, they know I have 35 minutes to clean this room. And so when 2 ladies, one says, I'm gonna go help Bertha. I'm gonna go help, Yolanda. I'm done, so I'm gonna help her and stay on the clock a little bit more. I guarantee you, 2 people will not do a 35-minute room in 17 minutes. They will not do it. They'll spend 35 minutes per room. So you gotta understand this stuff. 2 ladies per room? I don't think so. Are you done with your rooms? Go home early. If she has to stay late for her rooms, fine, but I'll be able to measure it and understand why. I won't understand why when I have housekeepers jumping around in the afternoon to help other ladies finish the rooms, or guys, whatever. Know your numbers, know your projections, know your cancellations, know how many rooms are clean, though they're listed as dirty in the morning. Know how many rooms refuse service on average every day, and work with these numbers. And eventually it'll be intuitive with you. You won't have to sit with a calculator. You'll know how to stay on budget. And your money, you want to use it or you're going to lose it. You'll lose it this year and then they won't give it to you next year. And any area vice president over a general manager who's over a director of rooms, who's over an executive housekeeper ought to be cracking that whip. Why are you under budget? Because under budget means we're not giving the service and attention to the rooms for the guest while they're in there paying for the service. That's why occupied rooms are more important than vacant clean rooms, but I'll get into that another time. All right, everybody, morning meeting is over, stand up is over, let's get to the floors. Come on, let's do it.
The hotel and hospitality industry is a type of entertainment and a form of show business. Thanks for visiting the Executive Housekeeper 101 with Abel Josephson from HousekeepingRehab.com.